Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, the podcast mogul Phil Better, and today we have a very special guest joining us. Pretty much since the day they started grade 7, teachers asked them to take care of the class of the fully misread that. Jesus, need to learn to read better here. So since his days in grade 7, when he was asked by his teachers to leave the class to calm down the problem kids, our guest has been helping CEOs, TV stars, and stressed out parents find stability in the storm as the president's coach. With over 100 television segments in less than 2 years and over 5 million viewers reached, this inner peace expert and award-winning executive coach can be seen keeping America calm regularly on Fox 4 KC's Motivational Mondays. He's also appeared on The List, New York Living, KTLA, Good Day Chicago, Fox 32 Chicago Noon Show, Good Morning Washington, and my personal favorite, CTV Morning Live Canada in Calgary. So I am so happy to have the president's coach himself, Mitchell Creasey. I hope I pronounced that right. Did I?
There you did, like a crease in your pants, Phil.
Awesome. I love it. Mitchell, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to get into this with you here.
So I gave I tried to give a nice roaring intro. I messed up a little bit. Happens with podcasters. Flip of the tongue. Luckily, I can edit that out. The glory of editing. But Mitchell, thank you for being here. Could you introduce yourself to my audience so that they get to know you from yourself?
I think you nailed it, personally. Also, can I first just say, though, I love being on a podcast because I can drink water and sit in a chair and just get comfy and cozy. Isn't it nice? I love it. I am the president's coach, and generally, I think it's all coaches, but for me personally, I help people get what they want, and it just so happens that the people that come to me, what they want is inner peace. They want joy. They want freedom. Most, if I'm being completely transparent, most are women. I have some dudes on my roster, but most are women, and most have successfully climbed the ladder of whatever industry they are in. They've checked all the boxes, and they've kind of reached the mountaintop, and now they're going, "What? Is this it? Like, this can't be it. Like, this is my life. There's got to be something more than this." And so that's usually like the one underpinning questions that everybody's asking themselves is like, there has to be more to life than this. And so when you're asking that question, that's usually when people come to me.
I love it. And how did you get into this? Like, what was it that said, hey, I'm going to become the inner peace expert. I'm going to become this guy that helps people find the peace that they're looking for in life. Like, how did that journey start?
So I think, like, again, full transparency, like I'm not a bullshitter. I don't have time to fuck around with it. Can we curse here? Sorry.
Yes. So
right.
You know, it's the C word. So that's the only one. I should have told you in the beginning. The C word is the only one that I don't know.
Yeah. All right, cool. So like, glad we got to that. So I gotta be straight with you guys right off the top. Like, this inner game is my gift. Like, Sidney Crosby can put the puck in the net, and he sees the ice better than anybody. This is what I do, and there's a reason I was the kid that was asked to calm down the problem kids in grade 7. There just is. Now, that being said, I believe we're never born into a circumstance that supports where it is we want to go. We have to go there to unlock and open the parts of ourselves that will bring us the fulfillment we're searching for. So for me personally, I actually have quite an interesting upbringing in that. So my dad still is different company now. But my dad is the CFO of a publicly traded multinational media company, and my mom, for conversation's sake, pretty much a hippie. So we were raised, So we were raised as much as you could be raised a Buddhist without actually calling yourself a Buddhist. So the idea of God, the idea of spirit, of Gaia, quantum field, universe, whatever you want to call it, was always very prevalent in the house. That was never like it wasn't a foreign concept to us. We never had a family doctor. So I was born in 1985. We never had a family doctor. We had a homeopathic doctor, and I was born just outside of Toronto. And for all the Canadians listening, like our doctor lived in Cobourg. So once a month we would get in the car as a family and drive 3 hours to Cobourg to go see our homeopath. And so I was the only kid in like grade 2 that ate hummus for lunch and was dairy free and pretty much paleo before paleo was a thing. And that was just kind of it. And doesn't sound very exciting now, but again, in like 1992, that was a big thing. And
Huge.
Yeah. So anyway, we're always a little bit left of center that way. So on one hand, I have my mom, who is very much about universal loving intelligence and inner guidance and the inner journey, and because she was very much and still is on it herself. And on the other hand, we have my father, who is he's an accountant by trade, right? So like that's fine, but does it balance? It's really the only thing that matters. Like, do the numbers balance? You can believe whatever you want, but like, show it
As
to
long
me
as
on the
A
sheet.
plus B equals C, we are cool. I love your dad is the chillest guy. If that's he's like, look, it all works out cool. Just you do you.
Yeah. Right. And you know what? I'm so glad you said that, Phil, because they were both so supportive. Like they were always very like no matter what I wanted to do, they was like, yeah, okay, go do that. And it was, and I think this is such an important thing for young entrepreneurs starting out is the legitimately, because I spent so long, and we'll get to this, like my journey really took like a roundabout way for no other reason than my own. And I tried to blame my parents so hard for it for so long. And especially in the spiritual world, we can really get into like the rabbit hole of inner work and like looping back on ourselves, and our egos take hold of what was meant to be a path of liberation, and they spin it in a way where that is the thing that keeps us stuck. So long story short, I spent so long blaming my parents, but in actuality, the only thing they ever said all along was like, yes, you can, go and do it. That was it. So anyway, so my dad from London, England, and he came from a real shit area, like not a nice part, like London you see on TV, a really bad, not good part of London. And he, but he, I always say wrong side of the tracks, and he made good. Like he worked his way up, and he became like C-suite. He was fucking running this shit with all of these people and like this multinational publicly traded company. Like this guy was living the dream. But he was doing it, and I say this with absolute love and zero judgment. Like I have such a good relationship with my parents. They're my biggest fan, and I think they're biggest. But he was doing it from a place of complete lack and people pleasing. So if he got more money, it became in his head that I have to work twice as hard. And it got to the point where the other thing, he was like the nicest guy, obviously, people pleaser, nicest guy, will do anything for you. Crazy good amateur athlete. He represented Team Canada as a duathlete. He's run every major marathon, and he has like one knee. He has no cartilage in one knee from a skiing accident. It's just bone on bone. And this is all relevant because he's the type of guy that's like, no, I'm good. I got it. I'm going to keep going. I got it. I'm good. That's just him. Like head down. Let's get it done. I set out to do this. I'm fucking doing it. Like he's, not sure how old he is right now, but he, like he's training for an Ironman. He's training for an Ironman now. And so, like, wait, he was like 31 or 32 when I was born in 1985.
So that means he's in his mid 60s, maybe.
No, older. Well, much older than that. Much.
Jesus.
Like he's late 70s.
Wait, no. If he was, you said he was 31.
Yeah. So anyway, this is
it's insane. It's insane.
31. I was born in 95. I'm 37. Yeah. So he.
He's 70.
Right. And it's insane. So which leads, yeah, okay, so is he 70? There you go, perfect. He's 70, late 70s. Look at me.
Obviously, math, you didn't
You
get your
had the
dad's accounting skills. It's
format
fine.
to be like you. Uh, oh my God. Can I just say, I remember in my first year of university crying, calling him on the phone. My friends we used to address him as Accounting Fred. And I used to call him really crying because I couldn't get the sheet to balance. And I had no idea how to get it to balance. Couldn't figure it out. And I was like in tears, in easy. So math is not my suit. But anyway, all of the in my early 20s, I got a mom saying collapsed. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, he's been rushed to the hospital. And I was like, hold on. This guy, and Rob usually works like, I always said, Dad worked the 5 to 9. And this guy went 5 to 9 for so many years and has run so many marathons on essentially one knee. He's representing Team Canada as a duathlete. You're telling me he's on his floor in his office, collapsed and can't move? What? And so it came back that he essentially suffered like the highest degree of anxiety attack that you could suffer. And he was doctor ordered to 500 feet from his office for an entire year. And I remember that summer sitting around with him, and like, again, my dad from London, super quick, very charismatic, funny. All he could muster up is he'd tell me like 9 days that he had breakfast. And then like he'd get out, like he went squirrely from this. And he's totally fine now. But at the time it was scary, right? And a lot of denial on my part, because your parents are your superheroes, right? You don't want to see them as fallible creatures in any way, shape, or form. And that was, and I had never been willing to accept my gift and what I was good at, because the masculine side of me, not male female but masculine energy, the masculine side of me needed something more. It wasn't dominant enough, right? Like this inner world, this world of peace, this inner journey world was somehow not good enough, because not through any fault of others, but just exposed uh, in big business, having your merit. I started to view myself as not enough, and started finding what was inside of me, outside of myself, to go seek that approval. And that led to many years of not what I wanted in any way, shape, or form. Like, I was still living with my parents, and actually, this, we can get into this in a second. This is a different question. But like, I I I searched and did not find like a professional. I had so many dead end jobs. I had so many attempts at stardom, but like, home runs in industry that's sexy and that nature just never ever went anywhere. And I got to this point where my coach, so this is why I'm so thankful. It all happens for a reason. It all happens for us. But like, I'm so thankful my mom is who she is and exposing us to this world, because I had myself a coach and an energy healer. I was 20, so I'm 7 now. And so when I remember being with my was one of the same. She was influential to me. Um, she said to me one day, she's like, "You got to start asking the bigger questions. Why? There's got to be something more to life than this." So I remember she's like, "Keep asking that question." And I remember I was a dog for a while, like, and I didn't know much at that, but I just keep asking this question. It's probably some months later, and I was laying outside in the middle of summer, taking my eyes, and I remember it was just like the sun like punched me in the face, clear as day, and it was my help people, and it was like,
I think we may have just lost Mitchell. Mitchell, are you there? He may have disconnected. Mitchell, if you can hear me, here. Mitchell, I can't hear you. You may need to leave and come back in to the episode. I'm going to send him an email. Oh, looks like okay. I think he heard us. He should be coming back in. These things happen. Let's see what goes on. Hopefully, he'll be back shortly. Mitchell, if you can hear me, it seems you aren't connected to your devices. Oh, there we go. Mitchell, you there? Mitchell, can you hear me? If you can hear me, Mitchell, it could be that the video is causing an issue. So if you remove the video aspect or stop your cam, it could be working a bit better. It could be just the connection speed. I guess you're frozen again, Mitchell. Oh, we're outside now with Mitchell. Hey, Mitchell.
Okay, I can hear you. Sorry, man.
Yay. No worries. I
Oh my
figured
god.
it was just the internet connection from from where you were. That's all.
Yeah, so I was in my office, and my office sometimes gets a little squirrely. So I ran up to the house, and now I'm in a bedroom in the house. So I'm just gonna put my tripod at the right height, so I don't have to hold the phone. And then away we go. Okay, where do you want me to pick up? Because I know that definitely got
Um,
lost somewhere.
I'm not sure where you dropped off because as you were starting to drop off,
Okay.
the volume and the connection sparked, so I didn't really hear the last thing. I do remember you talking about your dad heart attack. From there, we moved on. You were happy about your mother.
Okay.
Your,
I'll just pick up somewhere. And, oh wait, but trust that's good enough.
yeah, that's a way good enough. I'll jump into the next question um, as when you're ready.
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
No
Okay.
worries. It's all good.
Yeah.
Luckily, I booked enough time between so that we situations like this can happen.
Podcasting, right?
It's podcasting 101. Luckily, it's
Yeah.
still recording. That's all I'm happy about.
Oh,
Last thing
awesome.
I want, last thing I want is it like I've had it where it didn't. I had a full episode where I didn't record, and yeah.
uh,
Luckily, my guest was really cool with coming back at a later date and redoing the episode. But I was like, oh, oh my god, I hated that. So, um, Mitchell, we're back.
okay. I'll just I. Yep.
So yeah, let's continue off. You were telling us your story, your journey, how you were upset with your parents, but came to realize that they're your greatest assets because, or your greatest supporters because your dad, like after your dad took that huge panic attack, and you were talking about your inner work in relations to your mom and your dad.
Right. So it became clear. It was hard, right? Like that was very much being in denial at that point. Like your parents, you don't want to see them as fallible in any way, shape, or form, right? They're your superheroes. So there's a lot of denial around that point. And then, as I was saying, like I went into this great, not necessarily because of this, but I went into this great season of seek and do not find, where I was trying to hit home runs and jobs that weren't really for me, but they really satisfied kind of the machismo of the masculine energetics, my masculine energy side as opposed to feminine energy side, not male female, but masculine feminine energy. And so and that was always fruitless. And I was saying my coach at the time, and I was so thankful for my mom bringing us up in this world, because I was, so I had a coach since I was 20, and my coach said to me, you got to start asking the big questions, like start asking what, again, whatever language you want to use with it, like higher self, God, universe, Gaia, quantum field, whatever, right? Energy. Just start asking, what am I here for? And so I would ask this question like 6 times a day, and it was probably like 2 or 3 months I would of asking this question. And I remember I went outside to take a nap one. It was the middle of summer, like July, August. I went outside to take a nap. I laid down, I shut my eyes, and it was like the sun just punched me in the face. And it was, use what mom taught you to help people like dad.
That's friggin' heavy.
Yeah, and as soon as it clicked, it was like, oh yeah, of course, that's what I'm here to do. Like, what the fuck have I been doing, trying to like get over here and do this and that and whatnot? Like, yeah, of course that's it. And so it was just a complete alignment and peace within myself, where it was like, yep, okay. I'd like to tell you from that point on, everything was smooth sailing. But no, 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 no. It was like, okay, now what? And then I think where a lot of our listeners are, or could be, it was that starting point of, now that I know the what. A lot of people would ask the why or the how, but for me, and I didn't have this language at the time, but for me, it was about, well, who do I become to be able to execute that? Because you're not going to be the same person and be able to go help people like dad. Like, you can't. Not that there was anything wrong with me. It's just like, I hadn't accepted enough of myself to be able to go and stand in what I needed to stand in to be able to help who I needed to help. And so then what the journey really became about was accepting who I was. And the more that I accepted myself, the more the business grew.
I like that. The As you became more confident in who you were as a human being, as a coach, as being in this world, you saw the abundance come to you.
Totally, totally. And it's still like to this day, like uh, for me and like just coaching in general, like your number one client is always yourself because you're not going to grow the business beyond your ability to see yourself in context of your own life. Like if you see yourself as a small person, you might get lucky and hit a few home runs. I don't know why I'm using that analogy the second time, whatever. Uh, you may have a few successes here or there, but it's not going to be consistent because the view you have of yourself is not consistent, right? If you see yourself as a little person, you're not going to be able to exist in the big world or sustain in the big world, and vice versa, right? So basically, the vibration that you're walking around at is always the most important thing because that's going to inform what it is you.
Did we? Okay, good. I thought we froze. I was like, oh no, did we freeze again?
Good. Yeah, we're gonna hit. Yeah, no, we're good.
um, Mitchell, I want to know, do you have a tip for someone who's, stuck? They're hitting those dead end jobs, or they're stuck in a 9 to 5 that they're like, "Ugh, this is not for me. I want to, become the best version of myself. You know, do you have a tip maybe
Yeah,
to help them start accessing that?
look within, go within. All of the answers are within. They are not without. You're not going to find what you're looking for outside of yourself. You're not going to find what you're looking for in another job. It's not because of your boss. It's not because of your family circumstances. It's a belief you're holding within. One of my favorite exercises that I use with my clients all the time, I call this equals that. So what we have to understand is that as human beings, we don't do anything unless there's inherent benefit built in. 99% of the time, we just don't know what the benefit actually is. So the unconscious mind is the body, or the unconscious mind lives in the body. It accounts for 95% of your being. What you think up here counts for 5%. This kind of inconsequential. It's what the body is aligned to be able to receive. So if you want to move on from a 9 to 5, but you don't, look at what you get out of being in a 9 to 5, right? What is the not? And I'm not talking about like you're going to give your first answer, right? Oh, 401k, safety, security, a place to go, whatever, right? And those things are valid. They count. They for sure count. But beyond that, there's going to be a deeper seated belief that you get out of making yourself miserable in a place you don't want to be. So grinding equals my dad will respect me. Um, Working in an office equals my I am worthy of love. It's going to be something like that. This thing that you want equals that being the thing that you have. And so once you get clear on what is the equation, that's isn't it funny that I use equations when I'm so poor at math and my dad was an accountant, I was right. um,
Because that's the math
but
that you know. That's the math you know.
right. Hey, see,
They're-
Phil gets it. Phil
I
gets
get
it.
it. I understand
Yeah.
stuff. I'm smarty pants.
But when you know what the body is trying to solve for, then you go, oh, well, we just need a different equation. That thing's not actually true. I don't get unconditional love because of a 9 to 5 job. I get unconditional love because I give it to myself because I respect myself for my decisions or whatever. Right? There's many different ways that you can allow your conscious mind to accept that unconditional love is present for you without the 9 to 5 job. And once you start to rewrite that equation within yourself, the physical thing that you believe is the thing holding you back just kind of floats off. Something happens, You get an offer from a place that feels better. You get an idea to start a new business. The company you're at goes under and just pays you out for a year. Like, I've seen like crazy shit happen that is unexplainable, and it happens all the time. When you go within and you do the inner work to figure out what it is that your body is really trying to solve for, because usually it's not a present problem, it's something that happened when you were like 7 or 9 or 15, and it's just trying to protect itself from that thing happening again. And so once you get clear on that and you see what's actually going on within yourself, even that, about just bringing that to light, creates so much space for something new to be born. So go within.
I love it. And as you're talking, I'm like slowly going, I'm like, oh, let's go inside. Let's go inside and find. And it's interesting because I was looking at like, what is it that I want?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going about getting it? And am I going about it the right way?
So it's
That's
funny,
what.
right? Like, yeah. No, sorry to cut you off. Continue
No,
if you want.
go, cut me off anytime you want, Mike. Mitchell, it's your show. I'm just here driving the car. So yeah, go ahead.
So
What you were saying.
yeah. So it's funny. We often, and this is like such we all do it, and it's such an ego-driven question, and particularly at the beginning of our businesses, we always are kind of trained to like, how am I going to do this? But the how is not your job. Your job is to shift into the vibration of the thing you want already being done and hold it. So, like, and it sounds crazy, but we all have that friend who can do this in some way, shape, or form. Like, you probably have a friend who, like, something just like things always just like magically work out for them and they don't even try. Like, they're like, how did you get
Yeah,
that
I hate those
job
people.
offer? Right. You hate those fucking people. Right. And here's the thing. But here's the thing. In all seriousness, I know you don't, but like, say if you did hate those people, the only reason you have judgment there is because you are afraid of being that person yourself. Like, you have that ability, but I'm going to judge that guy because in the past, somehow if I was that guy, I would be ridiculed, and I don't want to be ridiculed again. So I'm not going to be that guy, even though I am that guy. And so if we judge it, we say, oh, there's nothing for me here. I'm going to put it over there, pretend it doesn't exist. But we all have this power. We all have this ability. And so the idea is that when we go within and we start shifting away from these perceived limitations, these perceived blocks, what happens is we just basically keep moving ourselves back into a free road, like no obstacles. And if there's no obstacles, the only thing that you're going to get are the things that you want. But it comes back to what I said before. If we keep putting ourselves in, if we keep asking questions like, how am I going to do this? We start to use this divine situation, meaning the desire, as a means to keep staying in our ego to prove ourselves right. This is one of my favorite questions. Do you want to be right, or do you want to have the thing that you want? And it's everyone goes, oh, well, of course I want to have the thing that I want. But the being right tastes so good that we don't even know we're doing it, right? Like you can, like, I'm just using this example here
No
because we're in this
problem.
conversation, right? Like, okay, I want the number one rated, best rated show on iTunes, let's say, right? Or Spotify or whatever. Um, but being right means I pump out the most shows per day because then I'm the hardest working podcaster. But those two things don't automatically line up. You could produce 19 shows a day, but they're all piss poor. Not saying you're even fantastic production. It's not that. It's not about you. It's just the example, right?
The
Right. But you could
universal
pump.
you.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Universal you, right? Could pump out 19 shows a day, but all they're doing is using this desire to prove that they are worthy of getting the thing they want. They're not actually in the conversation of getting the thing they want. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not sure if I articulated that clearly, right?
Yeah, no, they're instead of looking at what they actually want, which is, let's say, I'll use me. I'm using my podcast to gain the freedom, the financial freedom that I've always wanted. And instead of
Right.
looking at finding the perfect person to come on my podcast that can help me gain that, I'm just taking anybody because I want to just show, look, I have as many podcasts as possible. I must be this great guy. I deserve all the success, and the success won't come because I'm doing it not with the intent to become a better person. I'm just doing it because I think that's what's needed to be a better person instead of actually talking. Like this conversation by far is probably going to be one of the better episodes that I enjoy as a host because I'm learning so much about more self-work inside from you because you did create some questions for me to think about, like, am I doing the best job as a podcaster? Am I
Mm-hmm.
really in the lane that I should be in? Is this the lane? I am, but obviously I need to tweak because the road isn't the path is yet paved. I have to pave this path, so I'm going to have some obstacles, those self doubts from the 7-year-old me that is traumatized. However, by always taking a moment to think and go, is this what I'm in line with? Is this what I am here for? The this
Mm-hmm.
and that question, I can make sure that my path, the obstacles are smaller than the if I was trying to follow someone else's path.
So yes, exactly. And so I think one of the best things that we can do, especially when we're starting our business, is go. I would say go to the end. So let's say like you're starting your business now, and you're like, okay, I want like a 5K a month income or 10K a month income, let's say, right? Whatever it is.
Mhm.
Okay, so instead of asking yourself, how do I go get that? Ask yourself, how would I feel and what would I be doing right fucking now if that were already true for me? I don't know why I said the fucking part. It just felt good at the
It
time.
just
Yeah,
hammers
yeah.
the point home. It's the hammering of home. We
Right,
millennials
right.
and elder millennials, we use swear words as an
Yeah, yeah.
accent to the words to hammer more points home. Because when you say it, it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
7-figure entrepreneur? Like Jesus, like
Yeah,
you have to get
yeah.
angry with
Right,
yourself
right,
when you
right, right. Yeah.
ask those type of questions. Um,
Casual cursing. But
yeah,
yeah,
casual
so
cursive.
how yeah,
It's cursive writing, but
that's it.
speaking. That's how
Exactly.
I look at it.
Exactly. I love that. I love that analogy. But
Uh,
yeah,
Mitchell,
that's very much it. Yes, sorry. Go. Yeah.
no, sorry, I was going to ask my next question before you had a chance to talk, but and I didn't mean to cut you off. I would love to know a memory that cements why you're doing what you're doing, why how like just is, yes, either it's a win from a client that you had or a win that you were able, like a personal win that cemented why you're doing this and why you're helping people.
Oh my gosh. There's so many layers to that question. I love Phil. You.
I'm good.
I know, right?
10 years in the
Uh,
business, baby. 10 years in the
yeah,
business,
yeah,
you learn
yeah,
a few
yeah.
quick questions.
Okay, so the first one that popped in my head, it was my first. I don't know if it was my first client. No, it definitely was my first client, and well, I don't even. They weren't even a client. I think they were a friend, and they had something. They had something happen in their life, like super traumatic, and it wasn't even. It was like an unspoken thing that I was just kind of going to support them through it. And I remember I did, and uh, it was the first thank you card I ever received, and it just, it felt, it was so nice to read the words in the card because it reflected back to me everything that I had intentionally set in place to experience. And I think that was a pretty profound moment for me where it was like, selfishly, it was like, okay, you're on the right track. Like this is the feedback that's like, yes, this is the thing. And I always knew it was the thing, but to be able to see that come back at me in a written word unprompted was a really special moment for me. So that's one. That's definitely one. And then I think, um, there were some monetary goals that came along the way. But you know what? No, I'm scratching that from the record because not those are, they're nice, but like they're effects, they're not cause. And so I think at cause being the decision you're making internally inside of yourself, effect being what shows up in the physical as a result of you making that decision. And so I think the other thing has to be, I mean, I think I make memory is so so corny, but it's so true. I make memories every day, every time I shift myself out of sadness, anger, fear, back into a place of wholeness, of having, of already being there. And so when I can shift myself back, which is a daily practice for me, because like I'm a human being, we're here having a human experience, those emotions are going to come up and that's okay. They don't have to mean anything. But recognizing, okay, this is the feeling right now. This is the story I'm telling myself. Is this ultimately true? No. Is it universally true? No. What's more true? Or what do I want to be true? This. How would it feel right now if that was true for me? Oh, I feel like this. And shifting myself back into that state. And when I shift myself back into that state and I come back into a place of freedom, of joy, of rest and relaxation, that in itself is the victory. So those are my two things. My first thank you note, and then every day doing the work of shifting myself back into peace.
I love that. Those are some great memories to have, especially the getting the first thank you card, and it just like solidifies. Okay, I am on the right path. Like it's the confirmation from the universe saying, yeah, you're doing a good job. Um, Mitchell, we are coming to the end of the episode, which sucks because I'm having a great time talking with you. So I'm definitely going to invite you back to the podcast uh, in the future to have you back, see where you are in that. I want to ask you the spark question of this show. I know you were excited about this before because we don't know what it is. Spark being from Seek Discomfort, the great guys and girls over at that YouTube channel. Um, what is one goal you have for this year?
So many goals for this year. I think the biggest one right now is to grow my community. And I say that and this is what I'm talking about in the sense for all the coaches listening, like you are always your number one client. And so for me, I spent so long at the start of my career wanting to be like, it's funny, my coach calls it like drug dealer energy. Like I was not, I know I have the best stuff, but I was unwilling to be celebrated in public for it. I was unwilling to be recognized publicly for it, where it was like, oh, the president's coach, like he's great. Oh, you got to go see this guy. He'll help you get to where you need to go. And I was unwilling for that to happen. I just wanted my clients for me to be their little secret. And and I got to a point where I realized not only did that not serve me anymore, but it also doesn't serve the greater good. Like it doesn't serve the collective in any way, shape, or form. Like, what the fuck are you doing if you have a gift and are not sharing it with as many people as possible? So very quickly I got over myself, and this was quite recently. Um, got over myself and said like, okay, let's actually build a community, a safe haven for people to go and come to and realize like, hey, this is a place for you to be 100% who you are, not just like the version that the Coors Light commercial told you could be, because that's what being a fun loving person looks like, but like the actual person you are who likes these things and does those things and likes it loud, but also quiet and hard, but sometimes soft, like that person who you actually are. And so for me, my goal for this year and beyond is to just continue growing this community where people can come and understand that the inner journey is a real thing, it's a necessary thing, and it's a place where you discover who you actually are and embody it in a way where it starts to impact the world far beyond what you could imagine.
That's a very, very great goal. And I'm going to help you achieve that. And by doing that, I'm going to jump off the stage here. And I want you to tell my audience where they can find your community, how they can join your community so that they can start doing the inner workings so that then they can hire you as the president's coach.
Well, and like he just literally just disappeared.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at the President's Coach. I'm also on. It's not at the President's Coach on Facebook. I don't even know what it is on Facebook. Don't really use Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Mitchell Creasey on LinkedIn. But Instagram is predominantly the spot at the President's Coach. If you see this and it speaks to you and feel like you're ready to make a change, you can also just email me, Mitch at mitchellcreasy.com. I'm totally open to that. But yes, come join, come say hello, come start to follow me on Instagram and let me know who you are, what you're going through, what where you want to go. That's something I'm most interested in is where you want to go in your life. Where are you now and where do you want to be? Because I think it's a very interesting thing where we start to go we have like the socially acceptable version of the goal, and then we have the real goal. I want the real fucking goal. I don't want the socially acceptable version, like that all your friends and family can be like, sounds good. Like I want the unattainable, crazy talk goal that lights your soul on fire. Like that's what you're here for. That's what I want to hear about. So anyway, at the President's Coach on Instagram, that's what we talk about. The other thing we talk about is my signature container called Peace of Mind Paradise. And that's a one-on-one container, high-level container that I reserve for a selective group. We're going to be launching a group program soon. I'm not sure what it's called yet. It might be called the President's Club. It might be called Peace of Mind Paradise All Inclusive. And I got to be honest with you, I don't even know what's going to go in there yet. It could be group trainings. It could be lectures. It could be interviews with other coaches and people that you guys find really influential. I don't know what it's going to be yet. But anyway, the goal is, as I said, we're at the start of growing this community. So even if you've listened to this and you've heard something, you're like, oh, I think it should be this or an idea. I want to hear it. Let me know. We're all in this together and we're all growing in the same direction. And I forget who said this quote, but I just, and this is what I want to leave you with. And I think it's just so true. There's no need for harshness ever because the only thing we're doing is walking each other home.
Oh, that is a good one. That is a good one. I don't even want to talk
Right?
now. That's an amazing one. I'm going to tell you my goal, my unachievable goal is to
Yes.
help launch 100 million podcasts. That's my goal here as the podcast mogul. I want to
Woo!
be directly or indirectly responsible for 100 million podcasts. That's my goal. So I'm going to be doing it. If I have to do with them each one, I will make 100 million podcasts just because I can. But that's going to be a lot of time. So I'm looking to get people to help me out in there, make it a little easier on me. But Mitchell, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. I had a great conversation with you today.
Thank you so much for having me, Phil. The feeling is mutual. It's great fun.
To my audience, definitely check out the show notes down below. You'll have links to Mitchell's website, especially his Instagram. And as soon as he gives me the link to his group coaching or that new project that he has coming, it's going to be in the show notes down below. So make sure you check that out and sign up if you're looking to get some inner peace work done. And Mitchell, another giant thank you for being on the show. And to my audience, always remember to invest in yourself.